Section 8.4, Factoring Quadratic Equations. When there's a number in front of x squared, you can't just look at the last term and determine what factors go in to add up to the middle of the term. You have to do what's called a guess and check method, where we make our two binomials, look at the last sign. If the last sign is positive, that means they're both going to be the first sign. Now, which factors of 2? 1 and 2. So I'm going to put 1x and 2x. Now, the factors of the last term is 3. We don't have any choice but to use 1 and 3. So I'm just going to guess on where I'm going to put it. I'm going to put a 1 here and a 3 here. Check, your outside term is a 3x. And your inside term is 2x, which is 5x, and that is your middle term. So that checks. Example 2, make our two binomials. First thing that we do is determine what our sign is going to be. The last sign is positive, so that means they are both going to be whatever the first sign is, which is negative. List the factors of the first term, 5. 1 and 5. So I'm going to split that, put 1x in the front of each of the first binomial and 5x in the front of the second binomial. Now, we need to list the factors of 6. 1 times 6 or 2 times 3. Now again, I am just guessing. I am going to try the 2 and the 3. Now after I guess, I am going to check. Check your outside term is a negative 3x, and your inside term is a negative 10x, which is negative 13x, and that is your middle term. Example C, make my two binomials. Last sign is positive, so that means they're both going to be the first sign. Factors of 7. 1 times 7. So I'm going to split that to 1x and 7x. Now the factors of 4, 1 times 4 and 2 times 2. Now when you list your factors and you have more than one set of factors, start at the bottom and work your way up. Very rarely is it the 1 and the factor itself. So I'm going to put a 2 here and a 2 here. Now check, my outside is 2x. My inside is 14x, which is 16x. That is not my middle term. So, I would normally, if these factors were different numbers, I would flip them around. But because they're both the same number, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to erase. And I am going to try the 1 and the 4. And again, I am just guessing. Now I need to check. My outside is 4x. My inside is 7x, which is 11x. Is that my middle term? No. So now I need to flip the 7 and the 4 around. Flip the 4 and the 1 around. Okay, so now I'm ready to check. My outside is 1x and my inside is 28x, which is 29x, and that is my middle term. So I finally got it. You need to have a good eraser, or definitely have scratch paper. You can do your checking on scratch paper if you'd like. Okay, example D. My last sign is negative. So what gives you a negative answer? A positive times a negative gives you a negative answer. So in other words, my signs in my binomial are going to be different. One's positive, one's negative. Now I need to list the factors of 10. 1 times 10 or 2 times 5. Factors of 21. 1 times 21 or 3 times 7. Now, I have several options. I would definitely start at the bottom and work your way up. So let's try the 2 and the 5. And it's 2x and 5x. And I'm going to guess. I'm going to put the 3 here and the 7 here. I am guessing. So now I have to check my outside is a negative 14x. My inside is 15x, which is 1x. That is not my middle term. So before I eliminate the 3 and the 7, I need to switch the 3 and the 7 around. Excuse me. My outside is a negative 6x, and my inside is 35x, which is a positive 29x. Now, my middle term is negative 29x, and I got a positive 29x. When you have the right middle term but the wrong sign, all you do is flip the signs around. This positive becomes a negative, and the negative becomes a positive. Now when we go to check, it's 6x and a negative 35, which gives me a negative 29. Example 2, make my 2 binomials. My signs are going to be the same. They're both going to be negative. Factors of 3, 1 and 3. So I'm going to put a 1x and 3x. Factors of 20. 1 times 20, 2 times 10, or 4 times 5. Again, I'm going to try the bottom and work your way up. So I'm going to use the 4 and the 5. I'm just going to guess using the 4 and the 5. My outside is a negative 5x, and my inside is a negative 12, which is negative 17x, and that is my middle term. So I got that correct. Example B, take my 2 binomials. My last sign is negative, so my signs are going to be different. Factors of 2n, 1n and 2n. I don't have any choice there. Factors of 1, 1 and 1. I don't have any choice but to use 1 and 1. Check, that's a negative 1n and a positive 2n, which is a positive 1n, but I want a negative 1n. So I'm going to switch my signs around. Now check, and I get 1n and negative 2n, which is a negative 1n. Okay, example C, my signs are going to be different. I'm sorry, if the last sign is positive, that means they're both going to be the same sign. So they're both going to be negative. Factors of 2 is 1y and 2y. Factors of 6, I can either use 1 and 6 or 2 and 3. I'm going to try the 2 and the 3. So now check, my outer is a negative 3y, and my inner is a negative 4y, which is negative 7y. And that is correct. Number 3, example 3a, make my 2 binomials. My last sign is positive, so that means they're both going to be negative. Factors of 4, I can either use 1 and 4 or 2 and 2. Factors of 5, 1 and 5. So I have some options for the first term, but I have to use 1 and 5 on the last term. So I'm going to try the 2 first, 2x and 2x. A 1 here and a 5 here. So my outside is a negative 10x. My inside is a negative 2x. That gives me a negative 12x. That is not my middle term. Now, it would be pointless to switch the 5 and the 1 around because 2 is the same number in front of the binomial. So, I can eliminate the 2 and the 2 and must use the 1 and the 4. I'm going to try the 1 here and the 5 here. Now check my outer is a negative 5x and my inner is a negative 4x. That does not give me negative 9x. So now I can either switch the 1x and the 4x or the 1 and the 5. It does not matter, but do not switch both, because if you switch both, you get the exact same thing that you just had. So I'm going to switch the 5 and the 1. So that's negative 1x and a negative 20x is negative 21x. I have used every option. So to make sure that I think this is prime, but to make sure, I'm going to multiply my a and my c together. Remember, ax squared plus bx plus c. I'm going to multiply 4 times 5 and I get 20. Now let's list all the factors of 20. Now let's look. If I was going to factor, the signs would be the same. Are there any factors of 20 that add up to get the middle term of 3? No, there are not. So it is prime. So nothing factors. Example B, I'm going to make my two signs, my two binomials. My signs are both going to be the minus. Factors of 4, 1 and 4, or 2 and 2. Factors of 7, 1 and 7. So I'm going to try the 2x first. And I'm going to guess with the 1 and the 7. My outside is a negative 7x. My inside is a negative 2, which gives me a negative 9. That does not work. Now again, I'm not going to switch anything around because the 2 is a double. So I'm just going to eliminate, and I'm going to use 1x and 4x. Now my outside is a negative 7 and a negative 4. That doesn't work. So now I'm going to switch the 1 and the 7 around. So check, my outside is a negative 1x and my middle is a negative 28. Okay, I'm thinking this is prime. What do? I'm going to multiply my a and my c together, which 4 times 7 is 28. Now let's list all the factors of 28. And do I want to find factors of 28 that add or subtract to get the middle term? Because my signs are the same, I want to find factors that add. Are there any factors that add up to get negative 1? No, there is not. So it is prime. My signs are the same. Factors is 6. 1 times 6, 2 times 3. Factors of 45. 1 times 45, 3 times 15, and 5 times 9. Okay, I'm going to try the 2x and the 3x, and I am going to try the 5 and the 9. My outside is a negative 18, my inside is a negative 15, which is a negative 33. And now I want a negative 37, so that does not work. So let me try let's switch the 9 and the 5 around. So my outside term is a negative 10x, and my inside is a negative 27x, which is negative 37x, and that is my middle term. So I am done.